Erling Haaland is blond, nearly 2 meters tall, and absurdly fast for his size. Norway's national horse is blond too, and its body also does something its size should forbid. Most people read this pale Viking look as breeding nostalgia, but the color is a Stone Age camouflage system. One of these two blond Norwegians is 43,000 years old. That explains why this small body holds the strength of a draft horse, and why it walks sure-footed over steep mountains where big horses fail. Soon you'll see the trick that makes it look blond without less pigment. Meet the Fjord horse. This coat color has its own name. It's called wild type, the original color of all wild horses. Among horse people, this color is simply called dun. Here's the surprise. Almost every other domestic horse lost this color. The Fjord kept it. So a brown dun like the Fjord carries a gene most modern breeds have mutated away. That's why it looks so primitive. Genetically, it stayed closer to the wild horse than most breeds. How that color forms is the truly strange part, and this is where it gets weird. Stay with Haaland's hair for a moment. Pale, almost white blonde, unmistakably Nordic. In a human, that kind of blonde comes from less pigment in the hair. In a horse, you'd assume the same. Less pigment, a paler coat. For a palomino or a buckskin, that's true. There, pigment really is reduced. In the Fjord, something completely different happens. The amount of pigment barely changes. One single gene is responsible, named TBX3. TBX3 is a transcription factor, a switch that turns genes in the hair root on and off. And this switch works on only one side of every single hair root. It keeps the pigment-making cells away from the inner side of the hair. The result? Each body hair is dark on the outside and nearly clear inside. A single, half-painted hair would never catch your eye. But millions of them together make the coat look pale and washed out. So the Fjord isn't lightened at all. It's an optical trick of millions of half-painted hairs. Geneticists call this asymmetric pigment distribution. The same gene also explains the Fjord's dark markings. The dark eel stripe down the back, the zebra-like bars on the legs, plus the dark ear tips and the dark core in mane and tail. At all these spots the gene makes an exception. Here the hair is fully colored all around. So the pale body and the dark stripe are two outputs of the same switch. For owners, this means an eel stripe or leg bar is no fault and no wild throwback. Why would a horse wear camouflage at all? In the wild, a pale body makes the animal harder to spot. Researchers read this as camouflage that breaks up the animal's outline. That's why Przewalski's horses and other wild equids are dun too. Dun is the wild default, and that's why this color sits deep in the horse's past. In the bones of a horse from 43,000 years ago, researchers found this exact dun variant. That's tens of thousands of years before humans began taming horses. Only with domestication did the variants that switch the color off spread. Two small changes in the same gene are enough for a horse to lose its dun. One step dims the color only slightly and often leaves faint wild markings. The other step erases color and markings entirely. Most horses today carry this version. The Fjord, though, stayed with the switched-on original version. Let's come back to what this body can actually do. A Fjord is small, usually between 135 and 150 centimeters, roughly 53 to 59 inches, at the withers. Yet it carries the muscle and bone of a true draft horse. Normally the rule is small means weak, big means slow. The Fjord breaks that rule. It packs draft horsepower into a small, nimble body. And here the circle closes back to Haaland. Haaland breaks the same rule, just the other way round. He has the speed of a small, quick, agile player inside a nearly 2-meter frame. Both do what their build should not allow. For the horse, there was a very practical reason. For centuries, the Fjord was the pack animal of Norway's fjords and mountains. It carried heavy loads over steep slopes, sure of foot and tireless. Then there's the Norwegian climate. That harsh climate is written right into the Fjord's build. The Fjord has a dense double winter coat that works like an insulating layer. Its compact, muscular body loses heat slower than a tall, slim one. And its metabolism is extremely thrifty, pulling lots of energy from poor forage. That thrifty metabolism is what carried the horse through hard winters. And that's exactly where a modern problem begins. A body built to make a lot from a little copes badly with our modern feed. On lush pasture and grain, the Fjord quickly gets far too much. This thrifty metabolism encourages equine metabolic syndrome. That means the horse handles sugar badly and gains weight fast. That often leads to laminitis, a painful hoof inflammation that can leave a horse severely lame. This is the core. The adaptation that once secured survival becomes a danger in the stable. The muscular draft horse look tempts many owners to feed it like a heavy worker. In truth, it needs low sugar, low starch forage and rarely any grain. Limit rich spring grass and check its body weight regularly. Watch the crest, especially the firm, fatty ridge that builds along the top of the neck. Second point, don't overblanket a healthy Fjord. Its winter coat and heat-saving body handle cold far better than most owners think. Too much blanketing works against its natural temperature control. And then there's the famous mane. That upright two-tone brush of a mane looks wild and primitive. The dark core down the middle is real and genetic. That's done again. But the sharp crescent shape comes from cutting. The pale outer hair is trimmed shorter so the dark core stands out. This style doesn't grow that way in the wild. It's a grooming tradition, done with scissors. Big stories circle the Fjord. Let's separate legend from genetics. Legend says, the unchanged Viking warhorse, straight from the Norse age. Horses did matter in Viking culture, that's true. There are even horse graves. But an unbroken bloodline from a Viking horse to today isn't demonstrated. Legend also says ancient, 4,000 years in Norway, 2,000 years purebred. Breed registries repeat such precise numbers, though archaeology doesn't cleanly confirm them. The honest version, one of Europe's older established breeds, but no exact date. Legend also says the purest breed closer to the ancestral horse than Przewalski's. But Przewalski's horse isn't our domestic ancestor at all. It even has a different chromosome number. The Fjord is not a living ancient horse. It's a genetically distinct, tightly managed breed that kept the old color gene. One more detail fits here. Fjords are considered free of PSSM type 1, a muscle disease common in heavy draft breeds. The Viking label is something the Fjord shares with Haaland too. In the animated film Vikings, Haaland voices a drawn Viking version of himself. Two Viking icons from one small country. One scores goals, the other outlived the Ice Age. Now look at this blonde horse once more. What looks like breeding nostalgia is really a working survival package. An Ice Age color gene, a body for steep mountains, and a metabolism that outlasted the hungry winters. And the likeness to Haaland was never the blonde color. It's what both can do in their own way, perform what their build should forbid. Only the horse has a 43,000-year head start on it. And next time you spot a dark eel stripe somewhere, you'll read it differently. That's the wild a horse never fully shed. If you're curious what ancient biology hides inside ordinary horses, you're in the right place.